Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. I'm so excited for the conversation that we're going to have today because I can tell you one thing already. It's going to be a fun one. And by fun, I don't just mean fun in a normal way. I mean, it's really going to be funny. So be ready to laugh because you're going to get realizations, you're going to see patterns, and you're going to recognize the mistakes that you were making, which were keeping you blocked from success, but not recognize them in a oh my god, I made such a big mistake kind of way, but recognize them in a oh well, that was funny. Now let's move on, let's improve, let's learn and grow from here. Because after we talked about how to attract opportunities in our life yesterday by preparing, by becoming the person who deserves those opportunities, I was thinking right after the session, what's the most important lesson that we need to cover next? What's the most important concept that we need to understand? And that's when I scheduled today's live to talk about just this one question: why do we keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again in our lives? I mean, I'm sure you've noticed this pattern cropping up either in your life or in the lives of people around you, where for some reason, no matter what happens, there's this one mistake that these people will keep making. And one of the funniest ways in which this happens is in our relationship. So tell me if you resonate with this, because I'm pretty sure you will, or you'll either remember a funny story of a friend of yours or someone you know who's gone through this pattern. So, how many of you know that in relationships, when people go out, when they start to date, especially when they're young, they think they have a certain type, that they only like certain type of people or certain type of men or certain type of women, and not everyone. And we think that that type is usually, more of physical, like how do they look, what kind of color of hair do they have, what are their facial expressions like, how easy are they to talk to, how difficult are they to talk to. But if you were to dive deeper, right, you would notice that actually that type is a lot more psychological than it is physical. That if there's this friend of yours, or you might have gone through the same thing, where the person changes, the face changes, the body changes, but the fights in the relationship remain the same. If you're arguing with the person before about how that person's unorganized and how they never keep things in the right place, and that becomes the whole argument that's there in the relationship, well, the breakup happens, the person changes, and in a new relationship you're having the same argument. Now, just like that, people think that changing their jobs is the solution to their worries, is the solution to the challenges that they're facing, and that it's not them, it's 110% the boss that's at fault. Because I am a saint, I'm working very well. The boss just wants to trouble me for no reason at all. So I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to find one where I'm actually valued, I'm actually respected, I'm actually treated well. And guess what happens when a person does that? The company name changes, the job changes, the boss changes, but the same mistake happens again, the same kind of patterns repeat again. And even though it's a different workplace, the story is the same. The exhaustion and the tiredness is the same, and the problems and the unhappiness are the same. My question is, do you want to continue to live your life with these patterns? Do you want to continue struggling with the same mistakes that are repeating on loop, where you are gaining experience, you are gaining knowledge, but somehow wisdom misses you because you end up doing the same thing again and again and again and again? Now, one of the areas where I encountered this and I've broken this recently is the area of getting fit and losing weight. How many people do you know around you who make a resolution every single year? Maybe you're one of them as well. So if you are, don't worry. I'm not saying this to point it out to you. I'm just saying this to show you a pattern that reflects a much deeper lens on the way human beings behave. So, how many of you have noticed this? That there will come a time, especially around the New Year's, when gym memberships will suddenly spike up and people will have this fever, they'll have this energy that 2026, oh, I am gonna be in my best shape ever. You're gonna see me like this, and all that whole plan and jazz and energy that people bring. But the second week of January, it's all gone. Well, we are in March right now. I want you to ask yourself, it's been so long since the year started. Where are you on your goals? How much have you progressed? Are you making the same mistakes of being inconsistent and indisciplined and procrastinating and struggling with it? Especially when it comes to things like weight loss or working on our health. Now, people you will see are making the same goal since the last 10 years. And since the last 10 years, they are making the same mistake of joining a gym or taking up a class or doing something else. And then 15 days later, quitting it and saying, oh no, it doesn't work. They'll have a new excuse every year, but the pattern, the mistake, the loop is the same. And even though it feels justified to them, the question is, the weight is still there, the body's not there yet, and the problem still exists. So nothing is actually changed. It's all the same. It's the same mistakes repeating again and again and again and again. But when I broke this pattern of mine and when I understood how to stop making these silly mistakes and staying in the loop of making those mistakes, here are the incredible things that have happened. Exercise has become effortless for me. Now, 2 times a day, I'll do it as if it's a top priority, just like my work. Earlier, I would need a snack or two in between to do at least something. I would not be able to go on without it. And now, I have 3 meals a day. Those 3 meals fulfill me. My dinner gets done by 6:30 p.m. in the evening, even if I'm working late till the night. That doesn't matter. That's the time my dinner gets done. So my body goes to bed feeling light, feeling sorted. Sleep comes well, and then when I wake up early in the morning, I'm able to exercise. I'm able to put in the efforts, and as a result of that, over the past 1 month alone, I've lost 5 kgs. Now, of course, I have a long way to go there. But for the first time, I'm so consistent in the way I'm exercising. I'm so consistent in the way I'm following my diet. Not with pain, not with suffering, but with fun, with joy. In fact, today evening itself, and this is going to sound crazy to a lot of people, but today evening itself, I made a cold coffee with a bit of chocolate ice cream in it. Now, for someone who's trying to lose weight, that drink is a crime. Cold coffee has milk and then it has sugar, and then ice cream has so many calories. That's what we hear, right? But well, it's working for me. I'm having fun. I'm losing the weight. I'm on my way. Why? Not because I've chosen to suffer unnecessarily, because I've simply broken the mistakes, I've simply broken the loops, I've broken the patterns, and the results in my life are different. You see, whether it's our relationships, whether it's our health, whether it's our career, even our finances, we have these same patterns repeating on loop. And the biggest step, the first step in changing them is to recognize that you're making the same mistakes on loop. Because every time you're doing it right, you're going to have a valid excuse for it. And you're going to feel that I am justified. It was not me, it was this other person, it was this other situation because of which this mistake happened again in my life. But my question is this: yes, that could be true. Yes, the other person could be responsible, but their responsibility is not helping you improve your life, right? Now, how silly would it be of me to say, oh, I have so many clients to deal with, or I have so much work to do that I can't find time to exercise because I have to handle some things at home as well. I have to be there for my friends, I have to be there for my family. Well, all of that is true. I have a lot of work to handle, I have a lot of friends to care for, I have a lot of family to talk to and be there with and just have fun with. But that's not an excuse I'm using to justify why I am making the same mistake of being inconsistent in my exercise. You see, human beings are very smart creatures. We know exactly what works, we know exactly what creates a change in our lives, but we will not do it because it's uncomfortable, because it's challenging, and because it demands us to change our ways. That feels too difficult for us. So rather than admit the truth that I don't want to change and I don't want to create something different, or that I don't want a better life, will come up with an excuse. Will say it's because of this that I'm not able to do this. It's because of my boss that my career is stuck. It's because of my relatives that I'm stuck where I'm in my money area. It's because of my partner that my relationship is suffering so much. Well, it's not. It's your pattern that you have become comfortable with. It's your mistakes that you have become comfortable with. And they feel way safer than improvement. They feel way safer than growth. And that right there is the reason 90% of people say they want growth, but they never end up growing, because growth itself feels uncertain and unsafe and challenging for them. They'd rather be with the known devil of mediocrity and struggle through their goals, rather than accepting the fact that I am the controller of my life and I can break the mistake patterns, I can break the loop, I can just start improving and start growing and start taking action again and again and again. That's a positive loop that I can build. Now, here's the mistake that we are making when we try to change things in our lives, and the reason we go back to the same loops again and again. So, I have this pen here, okay? I want you to imagine that it has a bit of ink left. It doesn't have a lot. So, I think in a few pages, this is going to run out for me, okay? So, imagine this. I'm having a paper. Let's imagine there's a paper in the air. And I'm writing, and eventually the pen runs out. Gonna happen, right? The pen has limited resources. But what if I said, no, that's not true? The pen has not run out. Actually, there is more ink. The pen is just stubborn. It's not letting that more ink come out. And I'm scratching the paper and I'm scratching the paper over and over and over and over and over again, expecting the ink to come out. But tell me this, until and unless I don't open the cap and I don't put in a new refill into the pen, you see, this, anyways, you see how little of ink is left here. I have to put a new refill in after the session. But see, until and unless it's empty, no matter how much I delude myself, things are not going to change. Just like that, repeating the same actions, repeating the same thinking, repeating the same beliefs, repeating the same goals, repeating the same promises that you know you're going to break eventually, that's the loop that you are stuck in. That's the barrier that you are stuck in. That's the challenge that you need to overcome. Because otherwise, you're not being human, you're being foolish. A mistake happens once. Foolishness happens when you repeat a mistake twice, expecting different results. In our lives, we don't just do it twice, we do it hundreds of times, where we'll go through one relationship to another and not accept the fact that, well, I might be the problem. I might need to improve something. We go from job to job, from business to job, from job to business, and we keep shifting in our careers where we feel stuck and confused, where we want something new, where we want a kick, where we want inspiration and drive and so much more. But what we don't realize is we have an inability to sit with boredom and do the hard work. That's a mistake we're making. So you see, all the problems in your life, all the challenges that you're encountering and the barriers, they're mistakes on loop. And as long as you don't recognize that the refill is something you have to change, things are not going to change. So the first step to breaking this habit, to breaking this loop, is acceptance. When I accepted the fact that I do not like to exercise, I do not like to work out, I do not like to wake up in the morning to just, be ready. Okay, let's go run. I'm not that kind of person. I'm the kind of person like, okay, it's a cozy morning. Let me stay in the blanket for a while. And while I'm in the blanket, it would be so nice if my laptop was here and I had a cup of warm coffee and I was writing. That would be heaven. That's the kind of person I am. But because I recognize, well, being that person is not helping me, and to get to my goals in every area of my life, I need to be at the prime of my health. I changed that. Now I wake up early in the morning. I love to exercise. I've built that into myself. But the reason that happened is because I accepted the fact that there are things to change, there are goals to work upon. And now, this whole thing that I've talked about, right, is a glimpse of what really happens when you start working on yourself. Some of it might have gone over your head right now because your mind's not in the mode to accept the fact that I am actually the one who's repeating the mistakes because I'm comfortable and familiar with the mistakes, and I'm uncomfortable with growth. That's some very deep statement. I want you to reflect on it. I want you to stick with it. And I want you to, let me put it this way. Rather than trying to change it, or rather than trying to judge yourself for it, just sit with it. Sit with the list. Be there. Accept your imperfections. Accept the fact that, yeah, I have been making the same mistakes. So what? I'm going to learn. I'm going to grow. I'm going to improve from here on out. And that's when you do something that's transformative. That's when you create an incredible result. And I love the way Dr. Joe Dispenza has framed this. Is just one sentence, but that captures the essence of everything we've talked here. When you do this, you break the habit of being yourself. Yes, the way you are today, that itself is a habit, but it's a habit that's keeping you stuck. It's a habit that has become a problem and a challenge for you. Now, when I work with people in my one on one coaching, or when they come to the group coaching program that is confusion to clarity, this is the part that we focus on so much, because the identity that we lead with, the person that we are, is the foundation of it all. I've given you the first foundational step to act upon on that journey from today, that is acceptance. So today, recognize your loops, recognize your blocks, recognize where you are making the same mistakes again and again and again, and don't judge yourself for it. Just laugh it off and say, now with this wisdom, I'm going to improve and I'm going to take this to the very next level. So stay with this question tonight, reflect on it, and I'll see you tomorrow once again in a live where we build upon this momentum at the exact same time, that is 8:30 p.m. See you soon. Until then, keep sharing your thoughts. I love reading your comments and interacting with all of you. So if you have any suggestions also on the kind of topics you want to cover, on some questions that are on your mind, please feel free to share with them. And the moment it aligns, I'll make a live session on that specifically to answer your questions as well. Thank you so much for being here. Like I say every day, it's an honor to serve you. It's an honor to be here, to have this space to hold a conversation with you. And I hope today you can hold that space for yourself as you accept and recognize your loops, and just sit with them and love them rather than just trying to change them first. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow once again. Bye.